Welcome to another Create with me. Today we're going to be creating some stuff with cut files and my Cricut Maker. I'm really excited to show you what we're going to do. So let's get started. Hi and welcome to another kind of creative quarantining plan with me feel. Today I'm using a couple of cut files from Jill Cameron Creations. We received these to do a blog hop, and that's exactly what we're going to do, is we're going to hop from blog to blog and check out how people are using the cut creations. Now I wanted to do something a little bit different. I recently received the We Are Memory Keepers etch quill, and I wanted to give that a try. So I thought I'd use some of these beautiful cut files to be able to do that. So let me show you what we're going to do. You can find the cut files on Jill Cameron's webpage, and here we're using the You're Doing a Good Job cut file, as well as the circular cut files that she had available to her. This was really easy to do, and once we were done, we're going to go over and start making the card from scratch. The first thing we're going to do is just line it up to make sure that the size is correct. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out these colored stripes, and I'm going to use my frilling scissors to kind of make a nice frill background. I really wanted to use something more fun and a little bit more engaging. And then I also realized that maybe it was time to replace my blade on my cutter because it was starting to get a little bit blunt. But I kept going, so there's quite a bit of tearing and pulling, my bad. But as we go, we only really needed those 3 or 4 colors to be able to make the circle. I then use my frilling scissors, which are really easy to use. They come in a variety of different colors and essentially cut beautiful little frills onto your paper. I'm going to do that for each one of these colors, and once we're done, we're going to stick it to the circle. Now that we have all our frills together, we're going to stick them to the circle. Now keeping in mind, I'm going to put some die cuts over this, so I'm not too phased if I trim too much off. I want to trim it into the circle shape, and you'll see when we're done that that's the kind of shape we have at the end. You'll see those 2 patches up at the top. I specifically didn't stick anything to those areas because I wanted to stick down die cuts. Now we're going to use my Faber Castell Gelatos. These are fantastic if you do not want to put too much energy or effort into your watercolor painting. I really love them because they're easy to blend and they just make for such a fun mixed media feel on any form of card. I'm using a really thick cardstock watercolor paper here, and I think from memory it's 260 GSM. It just makes it really fun and gives it a really fun feel and texture behind the actual card. I'm actually going to add a little bit of gold onto this as well, because I think gold just adds a little bit of extra creativity, and also it kind of embosses or kind of highlights the gold that we're using in You're Doing a Good Job. Now let's start sticking everything down. We're going to use our glue. We're using a silicone glue, and we're going to use some die cuts from the Rosie Studio range, and we're going to pop those all into our little circle. I'm using the Keep Up the Good Work frame as the outside of my circle, and you can see I'm putting my little houses in. I was actually looking through the pile to see something, if there was something that said Home Sweet Home, and there wasn't, so I decided to make my own that said Stay at Home.
So I'm sticking down my border which says keep up the good work, and then I am now going to make the stay at home little template down the bottom. I'm using the really lush and juicy Caron markers, which are always fun to use, and I'm just going to make them a little bit more watercolory using a very fine paintbrush. Once I've dried them and once I am done, I'm going to add a little bit of shading and a little bit of highlighting with a white pen and a grey pen. Now we're going to cut out the shape and we're going to stick everything down and we are going to be finished. I'm really glad and pleased with this, and I'm going to pop this into my neighbor's post box tomorrow. We would love to hear your tips and tricks for budgeting. Leave the comment below, or you can find us at myinnercreative.com. We look forward to seeing you next time.